Congratulations, we've made it to the end. I really appreciate your joining me for these 10 conversations about what I think you need to know to take your next steps forward now that you have the diagnosis of borderline personality disorder. I'm going to summarize these conversations we've had so that you can keep in mind 10 top tips you can use to guide your decisions along the road of your recovery. The first is that you should know your symptoms. This helps you know when you're doing better and when you're doing worse, so that you can decide how to best take care of you and when to seek professional support. The second tip is to understand your interpersonal hypersensitivity. By keeping this in mind, it helps you understand the things that trigger different symptoms and states of borderline personality disorder. And when you can manage your relationships so that you can stay reasonably connected and work through any threats to the relationship, you can avoid the states of being more reckless, paranoid, and hard to reach. This will prevent you from falling into a state of despair and more serious suicidality. The third tip is to keep in mind that you're not alone and having BPD is not your fault. As we discussed, BPD is a common psychiatric disorder that many people will have in their lifetime. We also discussed how BPD is caused by a combination of biological and environmental factors. This means that you were born in a way that made you susceptible to stressful experiences. And then those stressful experiences altered your development to make it difficult for you to cope and for you to relate stably to others. While this isn't your fault and you didn't cause this, like with any other illness, it is your responsibility, now that you know about it, to find a way to manage it so that you can minimize the effects of it on the opportunities you have in the future. The fourth tip is to encourage yourself continuously, knowing that you can get better. Studies of the longer-term course of BPD teach us this. While most people will remit from their symptoms, meaning that their symptoms will be reduced over time, many people struggle more with recovering. That means functioning as a student or in a job. Putting yourself in stressful situations is important so that you can learn how to cope with your own behaviors and with interactions with others. It also means sustaining important relationships outside your family. If you apply more effort in functional recovery, your future will be open to many more opportunities to build a meaningful life and stay connected to others. The fifth tip is to keep in mind that those with BPD usually have other psychiatric disorders. Most of the time, treating BPD as a priority will enable you to maximize your overall efforts and treatment for all these disorders, unless there is some other condition that gets in the way of your learning. In those cases, you need to take care of those disorders first so that your brain is working as well as it can to think first and change your behavior. Now that we've talked about basic facts, we're moving on to the last 5 tips that have more to do with managing your treatment. First is tip 6. Know that there are key principles for how you can manage your recovery, regardless of your treatment options. Remember, we talked about thinking first, working at corrective experiences, and getting a life as an important pathway to feeling better about yourself and your future. With these attitudes, you can take on your treatment regardless of what's available and maximize its effects. When it comes to the specific treatments, we know that many things work. So tip 7 has to do with knowing what all these treatments that are effective have in common. All these treatments for BPD work because they give you an alternative explanation for your problems. These healing myths can replace the sense you have of being broken beyond repair or living in a world that could never help you do better. Once you develop ways of thinking about your problems as problems of emotional management or interpersonal dysfunction, you can focus on the things you can do to create an expectation that you can do differently. And when you see yourself coping independently, it allows you a sense of confidence to be in the world. The 8th tip has to do with medications. Know their limitations so that you scale your expectations for what medications can solve for you. While they can often work to reduce your feelings of being overwhelmed and increase your sense of organization, they are not definitive cures of borderline personality disorder. While medications can make you feel more organized and calm, they won't provide a complete solution to the problems of BPD. We also talked about how psychotherapies are the definitive treatment of choice for borderline personality disorder. Many treatments work, and no one is superior to another. We reviewed the core ideas behind 2 of the most well-known treatments found effective for borderline personality disorder. Dialectical behavioral therapy focuses on managing your emotion regulation, using skills to be more effective and live by your values. Mentalization-based treatment teaches us to think more realistically, flexibly, and benevolently about what's in our minds when we're interacting with others. Being able to mentalize through stressful situations will improve your relationships so that you can grow up and learn from others in this world. So our last of these 10 tips has to do with the fact that you will need to work at this. Living and growing up is hard work for all of us. We can all get discouraged at times when things don't go the way we want it to. It's really important not to give up, even through the most difficult of times. With these top 10 tips, I feel like you can face the challenges ahead of you. And all you need to know is that you can do this. It will be difficult, but there are people that understand your problems and people that can help. I hope you find this helpful and empowering. I believe you can do it, and I wish you the best of luck. Don't get discouraged if there are bumps along the way.